Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got one of those stories sent to me by almost everybody. Thank you very much. From Fox 5 Atlanta. Woman returns from vacation, finds Atlanta home demolished. Now, this is not quite as bad as the headline would suggest, but it's still bad because this did not appear to be her primary residence. It was a family home, and it's possible that there wasn't a whole lot of stuff in there. But of course, when someone knocks down a home you own when they shouldn't, that is a problem. So Eric Perry wrote this for Fox 5 Atlanta. It's an unforgivable accident. That's how an Atlanta homeowner describes coming back from vacation to find that someone accidentally demolished a home she owned. I'm just left with a big old mess, she said. She can't even begin to process how her longtime family property ended in a pile of rubble. It started while she was on vacation, and she got a call from a neighbor of that house. Did you hire someone to tear down your house next door to me? Now, it's been boarded up for 15 years, so it has been boarded up. And I said no. And she said, well, there's someone over here who just demolished the whole house, tore the entire house down. So the neighbor went over and asked the workers what was going on, and they said that the workers got nasty when confronted. He told her to shut up and mind her own business. So a family member went over, and he said, well, I want to see a permit or something. And the guy pulled it out and said, oh, I'm at the wrong address. Oh, I'm at the wrong address. I said that twice for emphasis. The man only said it once. And he just packs everything up and leaves, and the house is just down and gone. The home is on Lakewood Avenue in southwest Atlanta, and no one was living inside at the time. So here's how she describes it. It was boarded up for 15 years, but it's been covered. We cut the grass. The yard is clean. The taxes are paid. Everything is up on it. So in other words, they knew the house wasn't going to be occupied for a while, but they wanted to stabilize it, keep it safe. They boarded it up, but they cut the grass, they pay the taxes. So there's no reason to knock this house down without the permission of the owner. And so they were supposed to knock down a house. They just had the quote-unquote wrong address, the wrong address. So the woman now says she has not heard anything from the company responsible for knocking it down. She does have the name of the company. They're based in Atlanta. And she said it's just hard to believe someone thinks they have the right to just come and tear something up and walk away from it and didn't come back and say, I'm sorry. What do I need to do to fix this? It was an accident. They didn't give me nothing, she said. And now, of course, it's a mess because when you knock a building down, there's a pile of rubble there. Someone's going to come by and go, your pile of rubble is unsightly. You need to remove that. You need to remediate that. So she says it's just a grumbled mess. The whole house is tumbled in a big old mess. He didn't haul nothing off. She and her family now must figure out what to do next. Now, interestingly, she says, I think he owes us an apology. And most people would immediately go, I want $1 million. She goes, no, he owes us an apology and he needs to fix the problem. Fix the problem. So it sounds to me like she's quite reasonable considering what's happened to her. So Fox 5 reached out to the company for answers. They then sent a statement saying they're working to investigate the issue and say they're working on resolving the mishap. So that's a great example of people using passive language that really doesn't say a whole lot, because you could just say we're investigating it and we'll resolve it. But instead we're working to investigate the issue and we're working on resolving the mishap. So by making the sentences longer, it sounds like we're doing more, but we're not. So the woman says she's worried about water and gas lines, for instance. Did the people knocking the house down make sure the gas was turned off? Did they turn the water off? And so it sounds like the home is a total loss. In other words, you can't go back and let's rebuild it, right? At least not using what's there. And so someone comes by and demolishes a home you own. Now, it would have been worse if it had been her domicile with all her stuff in it. And that's what a lot of the headlines looked like. So that's why I said at the very beginning, there's a little bit of a nuance here you got to catch. But I'm not saying that it's okay to have done this. Obviously not. I'm just pointing out that the woman's damages aren't quite as severe as they would have been had it been her own home. And so, I've known people who've owned another house, family reasons. For instance, a parent passes away and was the only person living in a house. And now the rest of the family's got to figure out what are we going to do with that house. They might sell it. They might hang on to it. Someone might move into it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. But of course, when you are demolishing homes, and this is my pro tip. I am an attorney in Michigan, but I think this is universal. When you are demolishing homes or doing work at a property, if you do not encounter the owner who hired you, you would simply show up at a property and start working. Double check the address. Triple check the address. Because this is now the second or third story I've done this year regarding somebody who showed up at the wrong address and did something wrong. You'll recall the story out of Michigan where somebody showed up with some kind of herbicide and started spraying somebody's garden when they were supposed to be spraying the herbicide at a different address on the same street. Oops. Wrong yard. So he destroyed a garden instead of fixing somebody else's weeds. And then there's also a story, I believe, out of Atlanta about a home getting demolished, I believe, or maybe an auctioned, but something bad happened to a home when they had been sending the notices to the wrong address. And there are some cities out there, Atlanta being one of them, where they've got a bunch of street names that sound similar. My understanding is Peachtree. There's a lot of Peachtree streets, avenues, boulevards, and so on. And so if you send an address, something addressed to, 315 Peachtree Avenue, and it's supposed to go to 315 Peachtree Boulevard, it might get sent to the wrong place. And so if you write a letter and mail it to 315 Peachtree, all bets are off. So when you are hired to demolish a house and you show up and, it's all boarded up, that must be us. No. Check the address. And the one thing we don't know that I find fascinating to know is what the address was of the house that was supposed to be demolished. Was it literally next door? Or was it one block over? Or are these guys on the wrong planet? That's the thing. Now, I can tell you that you hope this company has insurance because there is the name of the company here. I'd never heard of them before. I'm not going to say it, though. But the company is not somebody I've ever heard of before. And so when somebody comes in and causes a lot of damage, some companies are running so thin financially that when they get upside down, they just go, screw it. They yank the plug in the corporation and walk away from it. And you wind up with a judgment against a entity that no longer has any assets. So I'm hoping they have insurance, and I hope the insurance is there for these people to collect on, or that the company is solvent enough to go after. But what's the solution? Well, it might just be that you bought a house, and you might have just bought the house at top value, meaning that you can't say, well, gee, it's a pile of rubble. It's not worth much now. No. What was that house worth to somebody in an arm's length transaction a week before you destroyed it? And then tack on a little more, because otherwise you can just go around destroying houses you want to buy. So, this is a very, very strange situation, but it comes down to, and it's really not theft in that sense. I'm talking about the legal definitions of theft and so on. But if I come by and destroy something that belongs to you, it's the same result. I've taken something from you, deprived you of it, and you can no longer have it back. Therefore, I have, in essence, stolen something from you. And so what would the remedy be to make you whole for that? So how that gets pled in a lawsuit would be very, very different from state to state. But you could, obviously go for things like negligence and so on. Trespass, believe it or not, because they came onto her property without permission, caused harm there. She was harmed. There you go. Probably a state statute on trespass. In other words, there's all kinds of causes of action here. There's no question about that. The real question is the company collectible? And how much will they make her fight over this? And that's where the good news is that it wasn't her domicile, the place where she lives. It's because otherwise, if they demolished the house she lived in, she'd have to figure out how to live while also pursuing her legal claims. Here, she can just pursue her legal claims from her home and go that way. So that's the one bright spot in all of this. But it's a crazy story. But again, pro tip to businesses that operate at different pieces of property: if you can cause a lot of harm at the wrong property, check the address. Because the guy even says, oops, wrong address. Oh, and by the way, someone tried to tell you, which does not make you look very good when you told the first person to buzz off, or whatever language you used. Probably not the word buzz. So there you go, Fox 5 Atlanta. A lot of people sent to me. Thanks a lot. I hate to see stuff like this happen because it's wasteful. It's wasteful. No one comes out ahead here. And it's just an example of somebody who is in a hurry, trying to do something cheaply, and guess what? It's going to come back to bite them. How many other houses do they have to demolish legally to pay for the one they just demolished wrongfully? So woman returns from vacation, finds Atlanta home demolished. Eric Perry wrote that for Fox 5 Atlanta. And probably 100 people sent that to me. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. That's a terrible idea. When do we start?